Welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. I just took this presentation and I threw it on eClass. So you'll be able to review that and look at the pictures if you need to get you started. Our goal is to briefly cover all 10 of the different constructions. I'm going to do the best I can. There's a new computer program that I need to use. And then I do have a Kahoot for us to practice and play also. So that is the goal. In terms of what the AKS is, remember AKS stands for Academic Knowledge and Skills. This is the stuff that Gwinnett County says that you really need to know. So let's take a look at it. They want us to make formal geometric constructions using a variety of tools. So the compass and straight edge is what you've been doing. We're going to look at paper folding and origami coming up. We've already done that with patty paper. You've been doing delta math for the dynamic geometric software. And the things that you have to learn how to do are copying an angle, copying a segment, bisecting a segment, bisecting an angle, constructing perpendicular lines, including a perpendicular bisector and a line through a point, and then also constructing three things inscribed in a circle. And it's really important that you know the concept of inscribed. It's a question on your test tomorrow. And those are equilateral triangle, square, and a regular hexagon. Now, we also taught you how to draw an equilateral triangle not in a circle, and that question is also on your test tomorrow. So those are the main things. Just to kind of give you an overview of what you can expect when you click on that link, it says like copying a segment. That's what you did the first day. I had made some of these videos and then I got lazy, but if you were on the school network, you should be able to play the videos and get steps to do from there. So that is what is up. The other thing you can do is just Google. Honestly, I hate to say it like that, but if you just Google, you'll be able to see the pictures. The main thing that you need to know is you will need to know the steps, but you also have to know what the diagrams stand for and why. So those are some of the things that we're going to be covering today. Why I just closed out of that on my other screen, I do not know. Okay, first things first. Copying a line segment. This is one of the easy ones. Now, the reason why constructions work is because of the whole concept of radius. So we got a new guy coming in. Welcome. So it's the whole concept of the radius of a circle. So when I have here, I'm going to start off by drawing my line segment. And this is the first time today I just discovered this tool, so cut me some little bit of slack. If you want, what you can do is if you're on a computer, I'll put in the chat the resource I'm using. So hopefully you should be able to click on that link and it'll open you up to the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. So if you want to have like, oh, awesome. If you want to have two different screens up, you can go ahead and do that. Now, if you don't know how to do two, I don't know, you can't do it on your cell phone or tablet, but if you want to know how to do two different screens, I'm in Google. I can't help you if you're a Mac lover, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you just drag and drop like to the left. So you click this gray bar, drag and drop to the left, and then it'll give you the option of what you want to open up. So if you want, you can have our video going on part of it, and then you can have this other one on the next. Hey, Jude. Okay, so go ahead. So that's the source I'm going to be using. Again, we're going to just go look at through all of the constructions that you have to know, why it's important that you know them, what you need to know from it, because I just put all the tests and the questions in the computer today. And I have a Kahoot for us to do also. Okay. LOL. Thank you, Maya. Okay, so first, copying a line segment. Remember, everything is about the radius of a circle. We're drawing circles over and over and over again. So I'm going to take this, and I've learned that I need to hit the point. So if you are following me around along, what you need to do is the point is what drags the compass. So I'm going to put my compass on my point. And if I'm going to copy a line segment, I need to have another segment array that I'm copying it to. So let's say I'm going to copy that green segment onto this long gray. So the first thing I need to do is I need to measure how long my line segment is. Now, again, remember, in Euclidean geometry, you don't use a ruler. We use a straight edge and we use the compass. So the way that we measure is now that I have it on my point, I'm going to bring my pencil tip over to the edge. And that's going to be how I measure my compass or my line using a compass. Then to draw it, if you're following along, you have to use this little X key, and that lets you draw the segment. Also, you need to click this little button that locks it in the computer. So now that it's locked, I can't change at all my pencil. It's locked distance. So now I'm going to take my compass by dragging the point and put it on my new line. And I'm going to draw. And remember, when you draw, you hit the X. And we see that magical point has just appeared. And I have copied a line segment. So if this is my A and this is my B, over here I now have my A prime. And I have my B prime. Oops, I don't know why that just did that. Okay, so that is basically all we're doing for copying a segment. Things to look for. Your radius has to be the same. That's the number one thing to look for. Think about everything in terms of translations. If I start at A, I'm translating it to A prime. If I go to B, where am I going to put my B prime? That's the concept. Does anyone need me to go over another example of copying a line segment? Okay, I got you one more time. It's all right. It's honest. Let's look at it one more time. So I'll clear it out. I guess what we can do is we can do everything twice. So first I'm going to start with a line segment here. And I'm going to copy that line segment, and I want to copy that red line segment onto this blue ray. Okay? So on the test, you are not constructing anything at all. Everything is multiple choice. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be given an image, and you have to say, okay, given this image, what is the construction? Or why does that construction work? Or what step happened next? Or look at these different examples. Which one of these examples is the correct answer? So you do have to know the constructions, but you're not going to be having to draw anything. You're going to have to look at it and then know what to do. Okay, so copying a line segment again. So if you're using this tool along with me, if you need the link, it's in the comments, or you can copy it on the top. First, I'm going to drag my compass to the end point of red. And just for happiness, I'll write this is A and this is B. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my pencil to B. That's my end point. Once I've got the radius of the circle that I want, I'm going to lock it. That's what this lock is. Then to turn my compass, I'm going to click on this X. And in theory, we can make a huge circle all the way around, because all we're doing is we're doing the radius. But that gets messy. If we keep doing these huge circles over and over, that's going to get messy. So all we're going to do is we're just going to do a little teeny weeny whoop. That's it. Just a little whoosh, small. Then I'm going to take my compass. And again, we drag the compass by using the point. And I'm going to put it anywhere I want in the ray. Usually speaking, you would just label it like A prime. So I'll write A prime here. This compass tool will end up letting you, wherever you place it, that's where it's going to end up doing it. So I've got it there. So I'm going to grab this. See, my little point comes. And there we go. Done. That's it. We just copied a line segment. Main things for copied line segment is A goes to A prime, B, and then this, of course, we know becomes our B prime. Okay, copying a line segment. Awesome. Let's go on to how to do an equilateral triangle, not inside the circle. And you will have one question on this tomorrow. So pay attention to how we do it and what it looks like, because those little beep bop lines, the construction marks, are what's going to help you to do your test tomorrow. So I'm going to hit clear, and I'm going to do this 2 times. First, we've got our line segment. I'm intentionally not making our first one straight because I want us to make sure that we, you know how to do it and what it looks like even if it's not straight. And actually, I'm going to make mine smaller because I don't want to go crazy. First thing you got to do is you got to copy that line segment. But before, when we just did that little teeny weeny circle, now we're just going to make it big, because we know if we're making an equilateral triangle, there's 180 degrees in a triangle. So each angle has to be 60 degrees. So I need to rotate my compass at least 60 degrees. So I'm going to take my pen, put it on the edge. And then if I put it here, that's not going to help me. I need to make sure I can see that it goes to the pencil. So I'm going to take this, unlock it, drag it to my point, and lock it. Lock the radius. It's so important that you lock the radius. Then I'm going to swoop down here, and then I'm going to swoop all the way over. After I've done that, using the same radius, because all we're doing is just drawing a bunch of circles that intersect, I'm going to grab my point, put it on this point, and then keep going. boom. If you did it correctly, you should get an intersection point up here. And remember, we used to call our intersection points our money points. That's our money point. Once we've done that, then all we do is connect our points like that. Equilateral triangle. Now, let me give you a couple other examples of what an equilateral triangle could look like. One, we could end up having a super long line like this. Boom. And instead of it being like this whole thing's going to be an equilateral triangle, what they might do instead is they might just do a small one like part way down. So if I go here, whoops, let's not do it that huge. They might end up just making an arc this way. And then, since it's locked, we move our compass point here. Oops, I should have gone higher. And I don't want it to keep drawing. Well, I guess it's going to force me to draw it. But in theory, you wouldn't need all of that drawn. Then I'm going to go over here, still locked, move my compass point, and then just keep going. And then I was hoping I could turn it without drawing the arc, but I guess not. And then you would just, of course, draw your connected lines. So the main thing to think about here is it's not just, it doesn't have to take the whole line. As long as you see these hash marks at the top right here, and then you see the arcs on the side, you know it's an equilateral triangle. Okay, anyone need me to do this one again? Okay, I don't have anyone saying anything, so let's go ahead and go on. What? We don't need a ruler. Get away. All right, next it says you need to copy an angle. So we did copy the bisector, copying a segment. Now we're going to copy an angle. So first I got to start with an angle. So I showed you two different ways to do the angle. Here comes the first one. So I'm going to draw an angle like this. Okay, so one way to copy an angle is having a ray over here. And then this is where it gets a little confusing because we were like A, B, B, C prime, all those kind of stuff. So first things first, I'm going to take my compass and drag it down to this vertex. Okay, we are copying an angle. Then what I need to do is come down here, unlock it, and then I'm going to draw an arc. I'm just going to lock it and draw my arc. Boom. Using the same radius, I'm going to go to my new line and also draw the arc. Now, if I were going to label these, if I want now, I can label this A, B, and C. The main thing is anytime you do anything with angles, you always have to do this AC arc first. Always. You will never ever do anything with an angle unless you have that arc. Okay, now that I've done that, I need to determine, okay, what's the width of AC? So I'm going to drag this over here and put it on C, and I'm going to unlock my compass. And I'm going to find out, okay, what's that radius? I'm going to keep drawing until I get it perfect. So do you notice how I have one of my pencil points I have at C, or my compass point is at C, and at A I have my intersection point. So I'm going to lock my compass, and then we're going to do just a little teeny weeny, nothing huge, really small. Once I have that compass width, I'm going to drag it over. I'm going to put my compass at this intersection point, because really this is B prime. This is C prime, and I'm looking for A prime. So I'm just going to go on my compass, make my little mark, and then I can connect my points, B, and there we go. Done. So it's not going, you're not going crazy. It's always arc, measure, arc, measure, arc, measure, A prime, B prime, C prime. All right, I'm going to demonstrate that another way. Another way to do this is if you do what we did with corresponding angles. So I have a line, and then if I say, okay, make a duplicate angle, but you pick where you want to do it. What we did is we drew our own other line, any way direction that we want. Then we labeled this A. Then we said, okay, I want my other line to go right through here, P. And I'm going to say P for parallel, because when we draw the extra angle, we are either doing corresponding angles, and that's going to give us the other angle measure, or because it's corresponding, it's also parallel. Corresponding, parallel, parallel, corresponding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my awesome compass, move it down here, sugar shoots, and you always, always, always draw the arc first. So I'm going to put it on point A. I can pick any distance I want. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to lock it, and I'm going to swing an arc. Boom. Then if I went to A, really, this is A prime right here, even though I called it P. So I'm just going to drag my compass point up to here and make the exact same arc. Boom. So far, I've got my A prime, or A and the P, and then I've done my arc. So now what I need to do is I need to see again, what's that distance? But again, I'm not doing it with a ruler, I'm doing it with my compass. Now I'm 99% sure though, every single construction you're gonna see tomorrow is drawn to scale. So side note, you could do that. All right, so I'm gonna put my compass here, and then I'm gonna unlock my compass, and I'm gonna adjust the tool so that it fits perfectly. Once it fits perfectly, I'm gonna make that lock, and then I'm gonna do my teeny weeny little arc, boom, boom, little arc. Drag my compass up here. So anything we do down here, you got to do it to the same one. It's kind of like if I gave one person $20 and didn't give anyone else $20, it wouldn't be fair. You got to do it to one, you do it to the other. Here comes, oops, what did I miss? Ooh, that's what I missed. I got distracted. See how here I put it on this point and drew my arc? Boom, like that. Whoops, I should have moved it up to this top point. So here it is in the top point. Same arc. Boom, right like that. And then we can move our compass away and draw our intersecting lines right through there, and then on forever. Now, this is what you need to know. Repeat after me, even though you're home. Parallel, corresponding. Parallel, corresponding. You got to know. Parallel, corresponding. You got to know it, okay? It's not alternate interior angles. It has nothing to do with perpendicular. There's no right angles. The reason why we can copy angles is because of parallel lines. And when we have parallel lines, we know the corresponding angles are the same. Does anyone need me to go over copying an angle? So far, we've done 3. All right, I got one no, so we're going to move on. Next, you need to bisect a segment. Bisecting a segment is perpendicular bisector. I believe there are at least 3 perpendicular bisector questions on your test. Here's the good news. Your test is 14 questions. So it took me, I think, 6 minutes to take the test today. With it being 14 questions, you can miss 2 and still get distinguished. You can miss 4 and still get proficient. So that's why I upped the number of questions. So it's not going to be worth as much. Okay. But if it takes me 6, hopefully it'll take you like 25, because some of them is really just looking at the image and saying, what is this? That's it. Okay, let's take a look here. So now we've got our next one. This time we're going to bisect an angle. So I'm going to make it kind of big so that I have space to bisect the angle. So here's my big angle, and I'm going to do an angle bisector. So for our little things, we'll have this be A, we'll have this be B, and we'll have this be C. First step, always. What's my first step anytime I have an angle? Who's got it? Who's got it? What's my first step anytime I do an angle? Make an arc. Thank you, Jude. Make an arc, make an arc, make an arc. Always. If you do not see an arc with an angle, it is the wrong answer. You always make an arc. Now here, it doesn't matter how long I want my arc to be. So I just picked that. It does not matter. All that matters is you have an arc. And actually, in this case, I probably shouldn't have labeled it first because I've lost track of what I was doing. So here we've got this. So then I'm going to draw my arc with orange. Drag this. And then I'm going to extend this. I want this to be big so you can see it easier. So I'm going to draw my arc this way. Woo, lock it. Arc. Now that I have this arc for angle bisector, I'm then going to label my points. So this will be point A, this will be point B, and this will be point C. In this case, you need to make sure the arc does go over the A and B, because then what happens is those points, A and C, are going to be your next little mini points. So we've got our arc there. Then we're going to end up moving this up to A. And it doesn't have to be the same radius. You can change your radius. I'm going to make mine a little bit smaller. And then you're going to arc it into the middle. Boom, middle, arc. Then whatever you do to one letter, you got to do to the other ones. I'm going to go to point C. Boom. Here we go. Then we just move our compass out of the way. And we draw a line. Done. Bisecting an angle. Now, let's talk about a couple things. First of all, here's my letter D. When we bisect the angle, tell me something about angle ABD. What does ABD equal? What other angle does ABD equal? What does this angle equal? Thank you, Jude. Who's got this? What does ABD equal? Which angle? ADC. ADC would look like this. So not necessarily. Not necessarily. DCB. DCB would look like this. So nope, not necessarily. I'm so glad I'm asking you this question because it's a question on your test tomorrow. We're really not getting it right. DBC. Woo! Victory. Yes, DBC. Because if I start on D, if I start on letter D and I drive my car to B and then I go to C, this is that angle. So the whole point of angle bisector is it splits the angle into two equal pieces. So we know that this angle here has to equal this angle here. Now, what would happen if I add these two angles up? What am I going to get? If I add both of the small angles up, what does that end up equaling? $180, not quite. Not quite. It's a trick question. An angle, yes, it would equal an angle. Do we know what angle? Y'all are overthinking this way too much. If I have this piece plus this piece, I'm going to end up getting this big piece. So ABD plus DBC is going to equal ABC. That's it. Okay? That's it. This piece here plus this piece here is going to equal this piece here. Okay? So that's it. Tomorrow you're going to look at a thing just like that and you're going to have to compare and be like, okay, does this equal this? Does this equal half? So you're going to have to analyze that, and you're going to have to know anytime you have a bisecting an angle, you're splitting it into two parts. If I have $20 and not that you would bisect money, it's 10 and 10. So 10 plus 10 is 20. If I have 10 fingers, if I bisect my fingers, 5 fingers and 5 fingers, what do I get when I put them together? 10 fingers again. All right, let's look at bisecting an angle one more time because it seems like, we might have not done that one as best we could. So here's our angle here. First thing you're going to do is you're going to draw the arc. So I'm going to move my compass down to this point. You always start with an arc. Always, 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 always. Angle, arc, angle, arc. Huge, huge. Okay, once you have your angle arc, then what you're going to do is you're going to take this and move it here. And then you're going to swing two smaller arcs. So I'm going to make this go in a little bit, lock it, and then I'm going to swing two arcs inside my angle. So one arc comes from this point, move my point up here. One arc comes from this point right here. And then I'm left with Get this guy out of the way. And then I'm left with this line right here. So you will have this picture tomorrow, but not as pretty and in color. Angle bisector. And we just talked about this little piece here plus this little piece here equals the big piece. And because it's bisect, they're equal measures. Anyone need me to talk about angle bisector one more time? I got a couple no's. Fantastic. Let's move on. Now we're going to talk about bisecting a segment. Bisecting a segment is super, super important. You're going to see it at least 3, if not 4 times. Bisecting a segment is the same thing as perpendicular bisector. So you got to think about, how does this part relate to this part? Perpendicular bisector. So first, I've got myself a segment. Okay. Then what we're going to do is, and this is one huge segment, is it's always about the radius. I told you, you move the compass over, and I asked you to guess what's about halfway. I'm going to say that X is about halfway. Then I'm going to take my compass, I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to move my pencil more than halfway over. It doesn't matter how much more, but we need it to go at least halfway. If it doesn't go halfway, look what ends up happening. If I put my compass here, this is the no way. If I put my compass here and I draw my arc like this, and I move my compass to this side, and I go like this, well, I can't draw a perpendicular bisector because they don't intersect. I did it correctly. I drew my segment. I found a radius to go for the circles on each side of the line segment, but what I didn't do is I didn't make my compass have a long enough radius for them to intersect. You got to make sure your compass has a long enough radius for them to intersect. So I'm going to take those off and let's move this over. So if I go this way, I need to go more than halfway over. I'm going to lock the radius. And then I've told you before, you don't have to draw huge arcs. We can just do a little arc up here. Bring the pencil down and do another little arc down here. Nothing crazy. Then I'm going to lift up my compass, go to the other side, switch colors to make life easy for you. And then again, same radius. I'm going to do my intersection points. Same radius. Once I've done my intersection points, I can draw my line. Now, it is totally fine if your line does not go through what you thought was the middle. I didn't have it go through the middle. Here, this is where I thought was the middle. All that little mark that you did was to make sure you go at least halfway over. If you don't go halfway over, your arcs aren't going to intersect. You got to make sure you have a wide enough radius. And that's it. It's literally that simple. That's how you bisect a segment. Now, there's a lot of cool things that happen. Because I bisected the segment, here's some of the things I know. First of all, if I labeled this A, and I labeled this B, and I labeled this C, well, because the segment is bisected, I know that each of these parts are the same. So if this is 5 here, because it's bisected, this has to be 5. I know that this whole thing has to be how long? If each little piece is 5, how long does the big thing have to be? 10. Okay? So I know pieces like that. So when you get a question like this tomorrow, just come up with your own numbers. Because it's a bisector, you know whatever number you pick here also has to work here. So plug in numbers and come up with your best solution. I'm going to show you perpendicular bisector one more time. This time I'm going to go a little bit faster. We're going to start with our line. Once we have our line, we're going to put our compass on the end point, and we are going to swing an arc above and below our line. And we wanted to make sure that when we swing the arc, we go at least halfway across. If you do not go at least halfway across, you're not going to be able to get your piece tomorrow. You're not going to be able to have the intersection. So I'm going to move this over here more, and then swing this arc here, move it up. Oops. Move this part up. Swing this arc here, and then I'm going to draw my line segment straight down. Boom. Okay, done. Perpendicular bisector. Okay, next I need to show you how to draw a perpendicular from a point. Does anyone need me to go over perpendicular bisector like this? Exactly like this again. Awesome. Let's do the next one. Now we have a line. And they want us to draw a perpendicular from a point, but that point is not necessarily to bisect it. The point is just draw perpendicular from point P to the line. First things first is you have to draw an arc. We draw arcs all the time. So put this here in the middle and move this baby down a lot further. When you draw your arc, you need to make sure it's going to hit the line in 2 places. The reason why we're drawing the arc is so that we can have endpoints from a line segment, and then we can bisect that line segment. So I'm going to go here and draw an arc this way, boom, and then draw an arc this way, boom. You won't always need to do the whole distance. You might be able just to do 2 little lines and be perfectly fine that way. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to move your compass down, and then we just do the perpendicular bisector. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to lock it, and then I'm going to draw down and up like that. Bring it to the other side right here. Continue drawing to get your intersection points. There's one there. Down here's my other one. Boom. Let's move this ladder out of the way, and then we just connect the points. Now you want to make sure that as best as you can it ends up going through the other point. But that's the perpendicular to a line from a point, is you always start with the arc first. That's what's most important, this part right here. When it's from a point, this part you have to see first. Once you see that part, then you can do your perpendicular bisector. Does anyone need this construction again? Awesome. Let's move on. Next, it says parallel lines we already did. Equilateral triangle. Now we're going to do the inscribed shapes. So then we're going to play Kahoot, and then we're going to be done. So let's get this baby over here. Yes, we're going to do the inscribed shapes in a circle. Okay, so first I'm going to draw a circle. Boom. Now, anytime we do an inscribed shape, the radius of the circle, if it's a rectangle, sugar shoots, if it is a triangle or a hexagon, is very important. You need to lock the radius. So for example, if you already had a circle, the first step that you would do is you would make this and lock the radius. Once you've done that, you just move your compass over, and then we're just going to keep swigging arcs. So I'm going to put this here and make an arc this way. And then I'm going to move my compass to this intersection, make another arc. These arcs are super huge for some reason. Move it this way. There we go. Little arc. And then all we do is keep going around over and over again. Come on. Couple more. Let's just go up instead to get this last one. Boom. Okay, now I have my 6 parts. Here's what you need to know. One question on inscribed. Whenever you have inscribed, it is inside of the circle. 1. 2, it will always touch the circle. The vertices always will touch the circle. So like you would never have this be inscribed because this line does not do it. There's not outscribed, or there is circumscribed. But you don't need to know that yet. Okay, so then this is inscribed because it is a hexagon and all of the vertices touch the circle. It's inside and it touches the circle. Inscribed, inside, and the vertices touch the circle. If I wanted to do the triangle, it's the same idea, but I just have to switch every other point. Like that. Does anyone need this again? I gotta know. Okay, perfect. So last thing I want to show you is how to draw a square inside a circle. So we're going to clear this. I'm going to start off with my circle. Nope, I don't want to do it there. Move this over here. Start with your circle. Boom. First step, this is a little bit different. Anytime you do the square, your first step is to draw a diameter. So I'm going to get my line tool, and it doesn't matter how you do it. You're just going to draw the diameter, and your diameter needs to go through the center point and go to the other side. That's my diameter of the circle. Once you have your diameter, the next thing you do is you do your perpendicular bisector. So for example, if I have this be called circle O, and I did my diameter, here's my A, here's my B. Now I just need to do the perpendicular bisector of AB. And we know how to do perpendicular bisector already. We move this over to A. We change our compass so it goes at least halfway across. Lock it. Swirl up. Swirl down. Keeping the same radius, we go to the side. So remember, all you do is draw the diameter, then you do the perpendicular bisector. That's it. Diameter, perpendicular bisector. Draw these here. And then this is where some of you are messing up perpendicular bisector for the inscribed square. Once you do your line, I'm going to show you the wrong way. Some people did it like that. So then what they did is when they connected the points, they did not have, they ended up creating a parallelogram instead. What's wrong with this? Why is this not a square? What's wrong with the green shape? Okay, I'm sure some of you are thinking, because it is an inscribed shape, look at our problem. It's not touching the circumference. Excellent. It's not touching the circumference of the circle. And because of that, the angles, again, correct, are not congruent. So what we're going to do instead is when we connect it, we don't just connect those parts. We end up having to, it won't let me delete that. Let's just do it real quick one more time. When we do it, what we're going to end up having to do is you need to make sure, holy moly, that's going to be a big square. You need to make sure that you will connect it all the way to the line. So I'm going to put it on my endpoint. First, you draw the diameter. After you draw the diameter, you make sure your compass goes at least halfway across. Lock the compass. Draw the arcs above and below on both sides, because all we do is do the perpendicular bisector. Actually, let me put it up here. No, it's not going to let me do it. Oh, there it goes. Like that. So then when we draw our line, we need to make sure we go all the way through. Yeah, it's not going to let me do it. I'm going to first do it the wrong way, and then I'm going to fix it. So first we're going to do this, and then we need to extend it a little bit more like that. And then I'll draw one more line up here. That'll make it work. Now we've done it. Okay, now we have our money points right here. This one, and our original two. And so now when I draw my segment, I can connect the corners for it to be inscribed. You have to make sure that you always have it touch the circle. If it's inscribed, it touches the circle. All right, anything else we need to go over? Okay, I'm going to hit start, but still join in. And then let's look at some questions. The code's on the bottom. I think most of these we know how to do, so let's just double check. Which illustration shows the construction of an angle bisector? Literally, I had no idea, but this exact question is on your test tomorrow. I had no idea. It is choice 3. Let's take a look. Anytime you have an angle, you always have to have an arc. That's it. This one, yes, these little things match up. That's correct. But what's not correct? Which construction is represented by the diagram below? Yay! Bisecting a segment. And that is a perpendicular bisector. Bisecting a segment. Excellent. Next. The diagram below shows the construction of the bisector. Which statement is not true? We literally talked about this already today. Which does not make sense. I'll stop talking so you can think. Five seconds, pick something, 5 seconds. Come on, just pick one. All right, let's take a look. Does EBF, okay, so does EBF right here, does that equal half of this larger, ABC? I would think that that is true. Is that what they said? Okay, so that's it. That's all you're doing. Tomorrow is you're going to look at each question one at a time. Wait, they said that that was incorrect because that's half of ABC. That is right. EBF equals 1/2 of ABC. Red is correct. Let's see. EBF. Oh, but what it says, which one's not true? That's why. Red is correct, so you're going to have to look through all of them and see which one doesn't make sense. I take that back. Okay. So that's one of your questions tomorrow, I think with different pictures, but the same idea. Which one looks like a perpendicular bisector? Yay! We got that one. Perpendicular through a point. Yeah, that pretty much was thinking they wanted you to say B. We just had our arcs. You're so used to drawing this whole arc the whole way, but they just did the mini arcs. So that's why it's B. You got this one. What are we doing? Yay, you are bisecting that angle. Again, here's our arc. From our arc, we drew our other arcs coming off of it, and then we drew our intersection line. Excellent. Ooh. What is happening? Woo, let's take a look. Copying a line, there's no such thing. The only thing is a copying a line segment, and that's when you would have had your line here. We do a little arc. So that's why it's not copying a line. Bisecting an angle, remember, has to have that arc and then those little teeny weeny arcs that make the X, and we draw the line, which is not that. This is parallel lines. Here's the next thing. What makes them parallel? What type of angle is this angle here and this angle here? What type of angle is angle P and angle Q? Someone put on their mic or type it out. What's angle P and angle Q? Corresponding. Yay! And what do we know about corresponding angles? They are what? Corresponding angles are congruent or equal in measure. So if this said angle P, we could just say angle P equals angle Q. Hint on your test tomorrow. Okay, next one. The diagram shows construction of a 45-degree angle. Ooh, fun. Fun. You will not have a question like this tomorrow, but I'm still curious to see which one you guys pick. Good one. I like this question. I should have put this question on your test. How fun. Correct. Because you had to know that your angle that you started with had to be 90 degrees. So that immediately eliminated 1 and 2. And then for it to be 3, what they did is first they drew the perpendicular bisector to get the right angle. And then from there, they took the angle bisector to get the 45-degree angle because half of 90 is 45 degrees. Next. Okay. Equilateral triangle given ABC. This one should be a gimme, 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 gimme. 4 seconds. Pick something. Pick something. Ah! It is choice 2, or it is number 1. Main thing here is anytime we do it, here's AB. We drew that little arc. Beep, bop, beep, bop. From B, we do our arc up here. Beep, bop, beep, bop. From B, we do our beep, bop here. Oh, cool. Then we'll move on. Next. Almost done. 6 more questions. 10 plus 5. Oh, we're going to skip this one. That one's not on your test. Moving on. This one might not be on your test either. We might be skipping this one. Yep, not on your test. Man, we're going fast all of a sudden. Come on. Also not on your test. This one might be. This one's not on your test, but it's a challenge problem, so go for it. What did they draw? I like this one. It is the first one. Let's take a look. First of all, we know all of these are angle bisectors. So we know they're angle bisectors because all of the angles have this arc and they all have the little X's. So that's angle bisector. So that left us between red and blue. Red says center of an inscribed circle, and this one is center of a circumcised circle. Remember, inside shapes will always touch in another shape. So this circle is inside the triangle, inscribed, because it touches at those 3 points. That was fun. Let's see the next one. Below, I don't know what below means. Not on your test. Space Yeti, you might be the winner. Let's see what this last question is. Also not on your test. Woohoo! Space Yeti with 8. Bright Panther with 7. Fearless Eagle also 7. And who is our other one? Glowing Ostrich. All right. So that is, oh, can you do another one? Yeah, you guys want to do another one? Let me find one. Let's see. The dog one. Let's the dog one. Nope. Not that one. Let me see if there's another one. See, you guys don't have to know as much as other kids do in your grade. All right, let's just play this one, and then if we have to skip questions, we'll skip questions again. Bye, guys. Have fun. Bye, Jude. Sorry. See you later. Ciao. We'll get started. All right, again, some of these you might not need, so we'll go along and see. The construction below is a nearly complete blank construction. Oh man, we're moving on at 40 seconds. Hey! Yay! I didn't even have to move on yet. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. The construction below shows a step for the blank construction. Yep. I would argue parallel lines too, The only reason why I think it's not parallel lines is because there's not another point up here that you're supposed to draw the parallel line through. But technically speaking, copying an angle is parallel lines because when you copy an angle, you get corresponding angles, which are parallel lines. Like in this case, where it showed you point P. That's why they had the parallel lines. Excellent job. Raven in the lead. Please get this right. Please get this right. It's a trick. No, it's not. All right, I'm going to move on when it hits 30 seconds. Perfect. If it was a point on the line, point R would be down here. That's it. Identify this construction. Yep. The only reason why you can't really see it, but there's not a point already on the line. You're just bisecting the segment. So that's why it's that one. Shows the full circles. Okay. You should be able to get this one. Yep. I know we always say there needs to be an arc first. That arc is actually the pink circle is the first arc, but they just drew the entire circle. And then from the pink circle, that's where they got these other green arcs to come from point A and point C. And then, so that's why it's the angle bisector. Yay! This one they drew the full circles also. But what is it? Excellent. You guys are doing fantastic. We might have to do this Kahoot tomorrow to prep for the test. That might be a good review. Excellent. And it's parallel to the line because it gave us point R. Yep, you've done this one too. Yep, and this one's confusing. I was looking and thinking that it was O also, but it's not. The reason why it's P is, remember, you're always drawing a circle first. So it wouldn't make sense for me to be at O and to draw a circle and be able to hit A and B from O. The O wouldn't be the center of the circle. P has to be the center of the circle in order for me to hit A prime and B prime. So that's why it's that one. Excellent. And the only other way that you can tell is because since A is at the center, that's why we get the arcs at P and Q. And then from there, we're able to find the arcs to get the T value. It is copying an angle. It's not bisecting an angle because there's no other arcs inside the angle. In order for it to be an angle bisector, you do have to have that first arc, but then you have to have the arcs inside the angle, and that's not there. Probably what happened is once they had the angle, they had somewhere else off the paper the other line, and then they drew the arc to go from there. So that's why it's not that one. 2 questions left. Okay, what are you probably going to construct with this? Good question. Yep, both of those you could do it. You could do the first one because we could swing the arc and draw the angle bisector. That gives you the perpendicular from a point not on the line. Or we could, if we're doing a parallel to a line, we could draw a line that goes through M and A and then start doing the corresponding copying angles. Last question. Excellent. The only reason why it wouldn't be perpendicular segment bisector is there's only 1 point. So because there's only 1 point, first we'd have to draw our circle first with A being the center of the circle, and then the 2 endpoints that we get on the diameter, then we do the perpendicular bisector. Okay, there's our winners. Ooh, someone had 12 out of 14, 11 out of 14. You guys did fantastic. How are we doing? Is there anything else that you need? I have literally covered everything on the test. So if you know this video, you will be golden for your test. Anything else? All right, well, I'm going to say goodnight then. Thank you so much for tuning in on your Monday night, and I will see you tomorrow, and bye. See you later. Oh, are we going to test in? We're going to be in room A105. And most likely, yes, you're going to take the test in strategies. I'm probably going to have us do review first, periods 1 and 2, and then probably with the Kahoot, and then 3 and 4 we'll take the test in strategies. Anything else? All right. See you later.